I'll be here, and then I'm going to go see Mr. Formica at his headquarters a little later. So let's start with the first question.
Okay.
What makes you best prepared to defeat Joe Courtney in the election this fall?
I think I am the most qualified candidate out there running. I've already proven myself to the people running last time that I will stick to the issues. We have a very positive campaign. I understand the issues at the national level, and I think that's critical. I go down to Washington without needing training wheels. The reality is that we're at a critical point in our nation's history, and we need people who can run for office and really do the work, impact change. In Washington at this point. We can't afford to wait another 4 years for what's going to happen. So right now, I think with my professional background, my belief in the Constitution and my understanding of it, I'm the best candidate to go out there and to win this race.
I'm here today as a mobile Tea Party forum to ask you a series of questions. First question is, what makes you best prepared to defeat Joe Courtney in November?
Well, I think, we've had a history of not sending people into this race as Republicans who have any elected official experience. And I've been elected for 21 years. I think also in a district that has 120,000 roughly Democrats and 90,000 Republicans, 200,000 unaffiliates. The successful Republican candidate to win on November 6th has to be able to reach into Mr. Courtney's pocket and pull out Democratic votes. In the election, the last municipal cycle, in East Lyme, where there's 800 more Democrats than Republicans, I was able to win over a governor-backed candidate by 85% to 15. So I think we can give Mr. Courtney a good run on November 6th.
Okay, and second question, what cabinet position and government department would you abolish first?
If I had the power to do it, I can only be one member of Congress, but what I would support immediately is downsizing and getting rid of the Department of Education. Those functions belong at the state or the local level. That would be the first goal that I would have. We've seen that when that Department of Education was created, it failed to achieve its goals. And when something is not working in government, you either fix it or get rid of it. There are also a lot of other departments, I think, that need to be either downsized, programs gotten rid of, or entire departments. And the others that I would look at would include the Energy Department, EPA, Commerce Department, HUD. These have duplicative programs in many cases, spending huge amounts of money on work projects that simply are not truly the function of government as it was intended. They take away our freedoms, our money, and our ability to run our lives the way we want to run our lives, and they're not necessary. That's the reality. I would also call for a complete audit of the Federal Reserve.
That was one of my questions later on. We've already answered that. That's terrific. Okay. Second question, what cabinet position or government department would you first abolish?
Well, I don't know that I would have an answer to that now. I think what we have to do is bring a level of common sense into the race and common sense into Congress. We have to look at spending everywhere, and then whatever consolidations make sense, and any abolishment, if that's quite the word. I mean, then we'd have to look at it. But I think we'd have to look at the overall and see where we are.
Would you vote to raise the national debt ceiling?
No, it's absolutely ridiculous. If you look at the number of times we have raised the debt ceiling in this country, it's become almost irrelevant. All that happens when Congress raises the debt ceiling is gives them permission to spend more money. That's the source of our problem. We don't have a revenue-generating problem in this country. What we have is a spending addiction by Washington. We have Congress on steroids, and it's time to stop it. Now, when you have an addiction and you're trying to go cold turkey, it's going to be hard. It's going to impact some people, but it won't impact the critical services that we have in this nation. And when we do stop this excessive spending and more money goes into the pocket of taxpayers, we're going to have better lives. We'll have more freedom to decide if we want to spend our money on buying a home or a car or retirement or saving money for our children's education. That's the way it should be, that we can run our lives the way we want to and not have government decide how that money should be spent.
Thank you. Third question, would you, if elected, would you vote to raise the national debt ceiling?
Well, the national debt ceiling has been a question going back to the Reagan administrations. They've always had issues with raising the national debt and votes around it, and there's always mitigating circumstances attached. Here's what I'm not in favor. President Obama has increased the national debt by $5 trillion in his 3.5 years. We need to reduce the national debt. We need to reduce spending. And I think that if we reduce spending and put common sense, good government into effect from the United States Congress, the questions of the national debt will stop happening.
And the next question, how can Congress best help to create jobs in this country?
There are a lot of things that we can do. First, I would say is we need to deregulate. We need to get rid of the over-regulation that are killing jobs in this country. Job creation isn't the problem. It's what Congress is doing in the sense of spending this money that's causing businesses not to want to take the risk to hire people in this economy. So what we need to do is we need to reduce the size of government, reduce our debt, and put people back to work. That's how we help jobs in this country.
Next question. How can Congress best help to create jobs?
Well, Congress has to make sure that they do the same things that they're asking mayors and families and first selectmen around the state that have been doing for the last number of years, and that is to cut budgets, to manage spending, and to make the hard decisions that families and cities and towns have been making all along. So we have to start with that. Then we have to make sure that the regulations that inhibit business production are abolished. That's the first thing I would abolish. Those regulations that are needlessly attacking the ability of small business to prosper.
And would you identify yourself as a conservative or a moderate Republican?
I'm a conservative, a lifelong Reagan conservative.
And would you identify yourself as a conservative or a moderate Republican?
I would say I'm more to a moderate side. But I'm conservative on fiscal issues, and I have a good history of fiscal management and in the town of East Lyme.
And the next question was about the Fed, but you already answered that. And this is a good one. Do you support the status quo of our current tax system, or do you think a flat tax or a value-added tax would be a simpler and better solution to the problem?
Our tax collection system in this country is broken. Nobody has ever read the entire tax code, a single individual from start to finish in one sitting, because you can't. There's millions of documents out there. What we need to do is to start over and either have a flat tax or a fair tax. It's going to take a lot of work to change that system, but I'm determined that we can't reform the IRS. We have to get rid of it.
And would you vote to support a independent audit of the Federal Reserve?
Well, I think, the town of East Lyme and all of the cities and towns in the state have independent audits. I think that anybody that works with other people's money should be subject to independent audit.
Now, would you support the tax system status quo as it is now, or would you prefer a different system, maybe a flat tax, fair tax, or a value-added tax in the future?
Well, I think what we have to do is take the tax code. It's far too onerous, it's far too heavy, it's far too complicated. I think we need to simplify it. I think we need to eliminate some loopholes, and I think we need to make it fair and equitable for all Americans, and to get something that really works.
And one last question. It's unlikely President Obama will win the 2nd District. Will his negative coattails help you defeat Joe Courtney?
Certainly I would hope that negative coattails, I would think it's going to be positive ones, because I'm being very positive in this campaign. I'm not running against Obama, I'm running for America and for the American people. And voters are smart. They know when Washington is not doing the job. And I think what's happening right now is people in Eastern Connecticut are standing up and coming out and saying enough is enough. We have government on steroids, and it's time that we change that. And the only way to change government is to put new people in office and demand accountability once they are in office.
Well, I thank you very much, Daria, and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you.
And the last question I have, it's unlikely that President Obama will win the 2nd District. Will his negative coattails help you beat Joe Courtney?
Well, certainly the fact that in the last race for governor, Tom Foley beat Governor Malloy by a substantial margin in the 2nd District. So we think that a good Republican message will resonate to those people in the 2nd District, both in moderate and conservative levels. And I think in a lot of respects we can reach to moderate Democrats about the idea, because let's face it, nobody likes the spending spree that's going on, and if there's negative effects on on the president's candidacy. We certainly hope it turns into coattails for us.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you very much for coming, and we remember the one consideration, we have two good Republicans in the race. Who's got the most experience and the best ability to win in November? And that should be the question.
Thank you very much.